Alright, you guys, I'm doing a short update. I finished the car. It's completely done. Everything's there. Everything works on here. The throttle linkage hooks up. The brakes work. I went to start the motor, and it is definitely a blown motor. I had it back out and apart. As soon as I put fuel into the carb, well, first things first, I covered the carb and tried to get fuel up in it, and it wasn't pulling much. It would pull like a little bit after like 8 pulls. And my TA, you pull it once or twice and it's got fuel up there. So it has a vacuum leak somewhere. Well, I put fuel in the carb and it just started leaking out the front of the motor. So the front bearings are shot. The crankshaft bearings are shot. And honestly, when I first took apart this motor, I was dumb and didn't take note of how the cylinder was oriented and how the piston was oriented. So I have no idea how this thing's built, and I honestly don't have any information on this motor. So one, this is with the spark plug-in. Here, I'll cover the intake. Yeah, it's turning over. I mean, that's nothing. So the motor has like no compression. You can hear little. So it could just honestly be orientation of the sleeve, or... Oh, also it didn't have a head gasket. So this motor's a mess. Doesn't have a head gasket. One of the head bolts is stripped out. Crankshaft bearings are shot. And I think that's it, actually. Oh, and the orientation of the sleeve and the piston are unknown. So this motor I'm going to consider blown, only because I am not going to put any more money into it or time. I'll probably get back to it. I am going to shelf it and keep everything. Everything works other than the motor. And honestly, I have a feeling if I did bearings, a head gasket, and somehow got that those threads back, which I'm going to look up how to, I think this motor could run. But right now, it's not in my best interest. I've got other projects I want to get on and I want to do videos on. This thing, I think, is as far as we're going to go. I'm going to get everything, and I mean everything 100%, so that the only thing I have to do is throw a motor in it and just go. I have several different motors that could just drop into this. I honestly have a 3.3 Traxxas motor that would be pretty nice to put in this thing, but it would just blow the rear end out of it. So I also have a 15 TRX Traxxas motor. I might do that one, but it's a marine motor, so it's got a marine exhaust manifold, head, and that's all stuff I can just buy and convert. But honestly, it's just not my interest. I love this car. This thing's freaking sweet because it's old, it's vintage. You won't find one for sale. So I'm just gonna keep it as a shelfer, maybe find a body for it one day, and then maybe there'll be an update in the future on it. But right now, I've dumped enough time into this thing. I am just tired of it. As soon as I'd lost all compression, I was like, yeah, I'm done. Now the pull starter works really great though. I mean, it rebounds great. The pull starter is awesome. So I'm happy with that too. So let's throw the wheels on. You guys can see what the finishing product looks like. Also, it's funny. So I have that marine motor, and when I gave away the CEN, I gave away some parts in the box. Well, one of those parts was the 15 automatic starter, which is different from the 3.3 automatic start. So I got it back in the buy, and now I can put it on my my motor. I got to test it here in a second, and we'll do that. But these are still wet. I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna throw these on, maybe do some adjustments, and that'll be it for this thing. I'm done with it. So I'm missing a lug nut. I don't know where that could have gotten to, but oh well. I've got bunches of those. Really unfortunate. I was so looking forward to hearing that thing fire off. I know there's a lot of online shops that just make universal bearings, so I'm just gonna one day I will one day get back to this project, and if not, that'd be, I mean, okay, if I get back to this project, I'll put it that way, I'm going to take the bearings out, measure them, buy them, and then see. The problem is, I don't know if the motor is even going to still run after that. I think the most important thing would be getting the cylinder head threads back in. I think that's going to be the hardest and the most important. So that'll be the first thing I look up. Second would be a head gasket. And honestly, I honestly think the motor's complete loss. I think this is more of just a ornament than it is anything else, because it's just not looking good. I don't understand that. You go too tight and it doesn't want to spin. Okay. All right, we'll leave it like that. That differential sounds great. Yeah, I'll do that, because if I ever want to throw a motor in it, I can. And I'm sure the clutch and everything will just go onto a different snout of a similar size motor. What a dang shame. I'm sure it would have been cool to see this thing run. I've seen videos of the on-road car, which is very similar to this, almost identical. It's the same motor, but it's 2-speed, and it's really slow. Very underwhelming. So I don't think I'm going to be missing much. I missed that. I didn't even clean this area. Okay, 1 second. I got to clean this tire. Got an area where it's really muddy. There we go. Perfect. Dang shame. It does look good though. It's a sweet looking car. Really sharp actually, but yeah. These adjustments are way out. The camber's fine, but the toe is horrible. This thing was probably really cool when whoever first bought it. To think about that though, somebody bought this thing like back in the 90s and thought it was like just the coolest thing. Like they thought this was the bee's knees. There it is. The suspension was perfect. Well, you know, these would have to be adjust the preload on these things, but look at that. There you have it. The CEN Fun Haver. No, this ain't the Fun Haver, but it is the CEN. Okay, this isn't moving. Oh, the brakes are engaged. Alrighty guys, that's a wrap for the CEN. Dang shame.